never getting married.
Never.
Guaranteed.
You picked a beautiful ring.
Thank you. We're never having kids.
I love it here.
We are never moving to the suburbs. We are never getting one of those. We're never having another kid.
I'm pregnant.
I'm never letting go.
For all the nevers in life, talk to State Farm agent Michelle Rudolph or Marty Size in Albuquerque.
Gecko's Bar and Tapas, a proud supporter of Proview Networks. It's been a fan favorite spot for food lovers and sports fans. With not one, but two great locations, including outdoor patio, an atmosphere you won't want to miss. Gecko's off Academy and in Nob Hill. Terry Cosper Insurance Agency is a proud partner with Proview Networks and a proud supporter of New Mexico high school athletics. Terry's been a local farmer's agent for over 20 years for auto, home, life, and business insurance. Just like high school sports are important, so are teen drivers. For more information, call Terry or one of his licensed staff members at 898-5556. Quotes are available for you.
For 55 years, people have bought trucks from Tillery in Los Lunas. We have a great selection of vehicles, the quality service department, and some of the best deals in the state. But most importantly, we found people prefer to buy trucks from people who actually drive trucks.
Tillery is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Locally owned and operated, located in Los Lunas, right off I-25, exit 203. Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili, breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
And welcome everybody to another edition of the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Gallotti. The man on my left is Ed Nunez, and we are going to be talking a lot of sports here. Still off season, still the slow time, if you will, of the summer, but we have a good amount of stuff to talk about, and we've got a special guest, the man on my right, former University of New Mexico Lobo, Jamal Fenton. First off, Jamal, I understand that you just moved back to town, so nice to have you back.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what you're doing now. I know Chris Perez, big basketball camp going on at Legacy. Talk a little bit about that.
The camp is going well. It's a Legacy camp, and I'm co-starring in it with Chris.
It's a good way to put it.
We combine together. Like you said, I just moved back here. We combine, and we just want to give back to the community as former Lobo players.
You know, even when you were with the University of New Mexico, you always dealt with kids. You know, kids would come up to you, you would give them the time of day, you would talk to them and everything, and you know, it seems like the coach in you, and that was back when you were a player. And what's that like for you now to be mentoring kids?
It's good, man. I always had a thing for kids, man. They I don't know, I'm not the tallest person, but they look up to me. So they look up to me in a different way because they see I'm not tall, and they see my heart that I play with. When I played here in the pit, I played with a big heart, a big chip on my shoulder. My motto when I was playing was heart over height, because I wasn't the tallest. So my heart kept me going. And some of these kids I see, they're young, but they can see the heart. Excuse me, the heart and the fight I had in me.
But both you and Chris are kind of coaches off and on the court. The camp this week, one stage, and then next week another.
Yes, the camp this week is going on. Actually, right now I have to get back to it. Is our younger group. They're learning. We're trying to teach them the fundamentals. Some of these kids are still just running with the basketball, so we're trying to get their attention span.
Now, when you say younger group, that begins at kindergarten, correct?
Oh yeah, we have kindergarten. We have like first grade, second grade. We don't have anybody older maybe than third grade. So these kids they're learning. They're trying to learn the process, understand the game. We're trying to teach footwork. They're having fun. It's good to see their smiles, and they're just trying to get better.
Then next week it's going to be bigger kids.
Yes, next week will be the bigger kids, middle school and high school kids. So that it'll be a lot easier. But we, like I said, me and Chris came back. We just want to teach the fundamentals of the game to these kids, because some of these kids out here think you just roll the ball out and play, and that's not how it goes.
So it goes safe to say that the kids this week, not a lot of between the legs dribbles and all that good stuff?
Well, you know, Jamal, I've been around the game a long time. I played, I was lucky to play, coached, officiated, and I'm broadcasting. So I remember going to camps when I was a kid. I'm lucky to still be involved in basketball, at 55 years old. But I remember those camps that I went to here in Albuquerque. And God, I should look forward to them, because I especially look forward to the one-on-one competition. But I think for me, I was never the fastest player, but I was I was fundamental. The dribbling and I think one of the things that the camps that I'm thinking you guys are doing is talking about those things. Shoot your guns on defense, relation between man and the ball. If the shot comes off, the shot on the left side, where it's going to come off, little things like that, because I'm telling you, not everyone's as fast as you or Kendall. They have to use their brains. Larry Bird's a perfect example. People look at him, they think, oh man, that guy's slow and this and that. That guy was one of the most fundamental players there ever was. And he was one of the greatest players of all time. So I'm imagining, I remember the dribbling drills, the circle 8, the between your legs, the feel of the ball around your head, the chest passes, things like that. So I'm imagining you guys with Chris are putting an emphasis on things like that. And I'll tell you what, Jamal, I think that some kids these days don't really want to do that, because it doesn't get them on ESPN. It doesn't get them on highlights like free throws. That's why, I still say girls, and I've watched both girls and boys. Girls, I think fundamentals at the free throw line are much better than guys, I think. But I think fundamentals are really important when it comes to basketball or any sport.
Yes, I agree with that. Fundamentals is key, because everybody can't shoot like Steph Curry or dunk it like LeBron James, but if your IQ is high and you know rotations and you know your spots on the floor and you can get to your spots, that's a great IQ to have. I like to use Draymond Green as an example, because he's not the best player on the team when you look at paper, but sometimes he's the best player on the floor because of his defense, his energy, his boxing out, his rebounding, the way he pushes the ball. He knows his spots, he gets there, and he gets everybody involved, and he scores 6 points. But to me, he's most of the time the best player on the floor. Even though Kevin Durant and Steph Curry have the 30, 40-point games, you'll see him a stat stuffer.
Well, you know what, I'll tell you what, I think with him, and these debates go on all the time. I'm a member of a lot of sports groups online, and a lot of people will say, oh, Rodman and would have destroyed him, this and that. Let me tell you something. Draymond would have backed down to no one. I love Draymond. Yeah. I'm a Laker fan, but I'm an NBA fan, and Draymond is one of the, he doesn't back down to anybody. Like you said, he's got the energy. He's selfless, man. If they ever lose him, it's going to, again, their core three would still be good. But that guy does the extra stuff, and he doesn't care if he has 6 points or no points. And if he makes takes a charge, gets an extra rebound, people don't see that unless you know the game.
If you know the game.
That guy, to me, I love Draymond.
Yeah, he's great.
And like I said, he won't back down to anybody. Much respect for Draymond.
Yes, sir.
One of the things about you, we talked off the break, I look at your max prep stats from high school, and I used to mention them a lot when you were playing at UNM. You averaged almost 22 points a game as a senior, but your role as in the Lobos under Steve Alford was you were the guy going out there playing in-your-face defense. You were the guy getting steals. You were the guy, rushing down the court at the point. Your job wasn't necessarily to score, but you could score if you were given the opportunity.
Yes, sir. In high school, I was a big-time scorer. I led a lot in scoring. But
a smile on his face.
I know he was.
Because I'm smiling because I missed those days.
I know.
When I had the extra green light to shoot everything. But I was a great scorer. But I became a point guard more. That's why my points went down. And in high school, when you're scoring a lot of teams, I got boxed and won my whole senior year. Junior and senior year, I got boxed and won. So those 22 points were hard to come by, especially.
I was going to say, if you were boxed and won and you averaged almost 22 points, you were doing something excruciatingly good.
The boxing one, I had to learn how to pass the ball, and when I got here, I had to transition to a pass first point guard with Tony Snell. When you have so many key players like Tony Snell on the wing, you have Kendall Williams on the wing, you have great shooters like Hugh Greenwood, you got Philip McDonald on the wing. There's no reason for me to shoot. I mean, let's get those guys going, and then when I'm open, I'll knock it down.
Now, your junior year, you averaged almost 3 assists. Went down a little bit as a senior, but still, that's pretty good.
Yeah, well, like I said, my team, we were small, just like me. Our tallest guy our center was maybe 6 foot, and in Texas we had a lot of giants out there. So my passing, I got a few assists off.
No, I'm talking about your with the Lobos.
Oh, the Lobos, yeah. Because what was the question again?
No, I was saying you were averaging almost 3 assists as a junior. Went down just a little bit, but still very good as a senior.
Yeah, it was good. Like I said, you got guys like Tony Snell and those guys. They could finish and make you look good.
Now, you averaged almost 6 assists in high school as a senior, so.
Okay, appreciate it.
Yeah. So that was pretty good. But I remember a lot of times Coach Alford specifically yelling at you, and people would say, "Wow, he yells at Jamal a lot," but he was trying to, he kind of gave you the green light to do a lot of things.
Yeah, he trusts me enough to make the big plays and put me in the right situations where I can create for others and where I can create for myself. So he yelled at me a lot because he always would say, if anything happens, he's blaming the point guard. So I used to take, even though I came off the bench and I was an energy guy, he treated me like I was a starter. He would get in me for anything. Practice, Coach Neal would get in me for practice. Any little small thing, they're on me. And that's why I really respect them. Nobody gets special treatment around those guys, from the starters to the last man on the bench. If you're out here not working hard, they're going to get on you. And like I said, from the point guard standpoint, he's big on that. And if it's a shot clock violation, and I'm not even in the game, it's my fault.
I remember that.
The next time out when I go in, he's yelling at me about that shot clock violation.
Yep.
And I'm just like, you just got to take it and move on.
Former Lobo Jamal Fenton, our guest here on the Sports Desk.
You know what, Jamal, I think we talked to Darius Gary about a month ago. He was a guest on our show, and he said about the same thing. And I read that book, The Season on the Brink, with Steve Alford when he played for Bobby Knight. And Coach Alford was definitely Bobby Knight's whipping boy, no question. And I remember one practice where Alford, they said, kind of gave Knight kind of a funny look, and Bobby Knight's like, you ever give me a look like that again, I'll throw, Bobby Knight's volatile, man. I don't know, what was your feelings about, because the way you mentioned Coach Neal and Coach Alford, together what a team they made. I really believe that as far as UNM coaching, and I told you I've lived here all my life. There was Norm Ellenberger and John Wisnett back in the day. They made a really good 1-2 punch. As far as Coach Alford and Coach Neal with a 1-2 punch, that might be one of the best we've ever seen here. Now, Coach Neal by himself, I don't know. That's a whole different matter. But together, and I think one of the things I noticed late in the game was when there was a timeout, Coach Neal has the board. And Coach Alford's like, go ahead. So they must have really trusted each other and trusted each other's judgment.
In the huddles, Coach Alford would preach about offense and the flow of the game and rotation-wise and defensively. But offensively, Coach Neal would step in real quick, and he's an offensive wizard. He can draw up a play from the. I don't know if this guy can draw up a play.
So he's good with X's and O's.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, Coach Neal is the best I've ever seen with that.
Really?
He can draw up a play.
Okay, that's important for people to know that, though. That really is.
Jamal brought that up, because explain what you mean by that, because I was there when it happened. Timeout would be called. I would say 95% ratio, if not more, you would score out of the break.
Yeah.
What was it about it that Coach Neal did?
That's just Coach Neal's intelligence, man. He has a high IQ on that offensive end on the game. He can draw, like, say we need to get Alex Kirk the ball mid-post or on the block. He can draw something up that'll get him there and in a scoring position where Alex is comfortable scoring, and we'll get that bucket. Because out of timeouts, Coach Neal and Coach Alford always praised about.
Interesting.
He always praised about the out-of-bounds game, OB game. So if we beat the other team in the out-of-bounds game coming out of timeouts, if we score 6 points coming out of a timeout and they score 2, we win that game. He always played it in 4-minute games, because I think it's every 4 minutes is a timeout. Every 4 minutes, I think so.
Something like that.
So yeah, we play 4-minute games. That's how we played our game. He divided. If we win every 4 minutes, that's how we would win. But Coach Neal, man, that guy. I don't know if Albert Kirky knows that guy's a wizard, man.
Okay, now you guys are in practice. You guys are in the hotel getting ready for a game and all this stuff. They're telling you all this 4-minute stuff. At that age, what was going through your head? Because, I mean, you look back at it now and you know what they were doing. When you were actually playing and your teammates were actually playing, what was the thought and how did that sink in?
When I first thought about it, I was like, what? 4-minute games? I don't even know anything about that. I just know about a 20-minute half. I just want to play for 20 minutes. But then as like the season went on and we started winning, I'm like, and on the stat board we have in our locker room, it shows that the 4-minute games we won, and we're winning 4 out of 6, 5 out of 6,
right?
3 out of 6. We're winning them, and it starts to add up when you play those 4-minute games. If we scored 6 points in a 4-minute game and they only scored 2, we won that. So they're down 4 points in that one game, and if they keep getting down, then we're up 15. When you look at the shot clock and you're like, oh, why are we up 15? And it's because of those 4-minute games, because they're down every game, and all those points add up to the end of the scoreboard.
You know what? I think when you mentioned Coach Alford and Coach Neal, that's taking coaching to another level. This is on the college level. So on the professional level and the college level, even on the high school level, but points out of timeouts. Execution is key as well. When you mentioned that that you found plays for Alex to score, or you, or Hugh, or Tony Snell. It's execution. It's about execution. It's about practice. Yeah. So, and I'll say that, Jamal, I think you're right that Coach Neal, again, he had a great career at Georgia Tech. People forget that. He was one of their best point guards ever. Went to the pros and scouted, was on the bench of a pro team. No one's going to question the X's and O's. Okay, but I'll say this, that sometimes you can be the best X's and this is the truth. I've been around the game a long time, too. You can be the best X's and O's coach, but sometimes you lose the team. In other words, they're going to depend on you to draw that play. Now, as an assistant, the respect was there between the two of them. Now, when Coach Neal took over as a head coach, I've got my opinion about that, and I don't know that it went as well as everyone thought it would. And it didn't, and that's okay. That's okay. That doesn't mean he wasn't, like you said, and that's important that people note that. Yeah. People here around in Albuquerque, and believe me, I know, they tend to forget things because right away the guy's just, whoever was the past coach, except for Steve Alford and Norm Ellenberger. Steve Alford had a 30-5 season. That doesn't grow around trees around here, man. Yeah. People will never forget that. Yeah. So Coach Weir, we had him on about 2 months ago. Great, nice guy, right? Yeah, great, nice guy. But like Scott and I said, if he doesn't win, you know how it is around here. Yeah. First time you lose, you know how it is.
Lobo land, you ain't winning.
Yeah.
They'll be a little mad up in the stands.
Right. You know how it is around here, man.
We'll take a quick break. We have Jamal Fenton, Lobo former basketball player here. This is the Sports Desk.
Garden Sort's Team Sales is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Get into the game. Garden Schwartz Team Sales features fine products and apparel from Wilson, Schutt Sports, Speedline, and Russell Athletics. We offer custom embroidery and screen printing services for all of your school or club needs, from team uniforms to school letter jackets. Specializing in all sports and serving all communities, from big schools to small schools, from up north to down south, or all points in between. Garden Schwartz Team Sales. For great prices, friendly staff, and quality products, call Garden Schwartz Team Sales today at 1-800-880-7767. That's 1-800-880-7767. Since 1939, Garden Schwartz Team Sales is a proud supporter of New Mexico youth athletics.
Don't forget, every Proview Network sporting event is on sale at our DVD store. Go to www.ProviewNetworks.com to buy your DVD today.
The Barley Room, a proud sponsor of Proview Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering. Let us bring our kitchen to you. Hoops New Mexico Basketball Courts is coming to Albuquerque soon. 10 full basketball courts and a whole lot more. For more information, contact Dan Serrano at hoopsnm@aybl.com.
And welcome back here to the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Coletti along with Ed Nunez, Alden Iowani, our fine director, doing a great job as always, getting us on the air here on Proview Networks, Comcast Channel 26. And we are pleased to have as our guest former New Mexico Lobo guard Jamal Fenton. Talk a little bit about your overseas play. We were talking off the air. You played in Mexico. You didn't get a chance to play against Roman Martinez, but you got a chance to see him quite often. So what was that experience like?
It was great, man. I wouldn't change it for the world. It's different, man. You go to a different country and you don't even know their language. Luckily, I knew a little Spanish from my high school and friends and stuff. So, I mean, I got passed by, and then you learn from teammates. But the experience is crazy, man. In Mexico, you think there's not any good players, but those guys out there can play. The league is very tough. You have ex-NBA guys. I've seen Roman. Before I left, about 2 months ago, I played against JR. I played against JR out there. J.R. Giddens.
Another guy that loves it over there.
Yeah, he likes it over there. I played against him. But it's just fun, man. It's just kill or be killed, man, for the kids watching, man. You gotta be able to put up, play. You gotta be consistent. Consistency is the key when you're playing overseas or wherever. Consistency or I mean, it's when you're on a professional level, it's you play good or you just go home. It's not like college where you could have a bad game and then next week you have another game. If you play bad overseas, I mean, you're liable to go home right after.
Well, I was going to take it to a different level. In college, especially under the system under Coach Alford and Coach Neal, it was a team. You know, it wasn't, you may have some outstanding individuals, but it was everyone get that last pass, otherwise you're on the bench. Yeah. It wasn't so much about taking a bad shot, but if you missed a pass, you were on the bench.
Yeah.
In pro, you got to have a little more individual skills.
Yes.
How much going from the team style here to overseas and even in the professional ranks where it's more individual, how much of a transition was that for you?
It was a transition. It was kind of,
because you were the ultimate team player. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, it was a big transition, but I just remember when after I graduated and I played my last game in the pit, which hurt. Even though we won the championship, I just missed playing over there. I kind of just went back to my old high school days. Went back to being a scorer, a penetrator, a facilitator, getting guys open, but I kind of went more individual. When you turn professional, you have to really get your score because if they're bringing you all the way from America and you're not scoring, there's no use for you.
Right.
In professional.
That's true. That's why I asked.
Because if they're bringing a foreign player to come play and you're averaging 6 points, 8 points, there's no need for you there because they're locals, which are who live there, or local players in Mexico that play for your team. They score 6 to 8 points, and you can't have the same stats as them.
Right.
That's interesting because I think it made you changed your game a lot when you came here. You said that Tony Snell and Hugh Greenwood, those guys can score. So could you. But you have to put your ego aside. I know there's been, when a coach is asking you to do something with the squad or the team that the Lobos had, and that's one of the best teams the Lobos ever had here, ever. You know, like I said, I've lived here all 55 years of my life, so I know. And so you have an ego too. You do. But I think you're a very selfless player because if Coach Alford asked you to take that role on, you did. And then you got to go pro and change it all over again. So, because you realize too that, Coach Alford's not there to say, hey, Jamal, we need that play from you. This team needs something different. So you got to adjust your game all over again.
Yes, sir.
It's a lot of adjustments, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How nice was it to spend 4 years at the University of New Mexico and go to the NCAA's 3 out of 4?
Man. I still remember.
By the way, the NIT game was at Alabama, a game that the Lobos could have, should have won.
Yeah, I reminisce on it all the time, man, because the atmosphere here.
It's a great experience, huh?
It's ridiculous, man. The teams I played on, that God let me play on, to luckily be here on a winning career for me here, was great, man. To play against guys like Kawhi Leonard and #1 pick Anthony Bennett, those kind of guys. You get to play against them on a big stage on ESPN.
I keep forgetting that you played against Kawhi. I knew you played against Anthony, but I forgot that you were here against Kawhi. That was your freshman year?
My freshman year and sophomore year. But just, man, it's unexplainable, man. When that pit gets to screaming and you can't even hear, and the floor is shaking when you're dribbling, you can feel it, and people are just going crazy for you, screaming your name, wearing your jersey, just going all out like they're playing the game. You can feel like it's all 17,000, 18,000 in there with Lobo uniforms on the court with you when the pit's in the right spot.
Now, speaking of the pit, how about Pit West, Thomas and Mack Center, during the Mountain West tournament? I mean, you were there 2 years in particular, your last 2 years, where fans stormed the court. Your last year, you actually played UNLV in the finals. And actually had more fans than UNLV.
Yeah, that was crazy, man. When we walked in for warm-ups, you know, it's kind of quiet. You know, everybody just talking, still getting their snacks and getting ready for the game. It was Pit West, like you said. It was crazy. We had more Lobos symbols around than UNLV Rebels around there. But it was like I said, it's unexplainable to explain how the atmosphere is when you're playing in games like that.
Well, how about the feeling when you guys are cutting down the nets and the floor is full, and I mean full of people?
It's crazy, man, to see that, and just to do it, for me, it was great to do it.
All these UNLV fans walking around, what the heck's going on? I mean, they're storming the court. I mean,
they're all
pretty
sad
awesome.
and pouting. And then the great thing is my family was there, so my mom's screaming at the top of her lungs like she's at like a carnival or anywhere. She's just screaming. My brother's screaming, and she's crying, and I'm all emotional because, you know, not too many people experience stuff like this because, like I tell my campers and stuff, like I said, I'm not the tallest guy in the world, but I worked on my game, and I was good enough and blessed enough to play Division I basketball. Not too many kids that play Division I basketball are my height and get to play on a big stage like that. Because every time I go on the court, I'm 199.9% the smallest guy on the court.
You know, one of the things I remember that at the Thomas and Mack Center. And I remember watching on TV and I'm thinking, you know what? No one would ever come over here and take over the pit. Or, you know, no Las Vegas fans, not Colorado State, San Diego State. I was amazed. But I've been around, I told you, a long time. I remember Georgetown and the Lobos in '85 here. You never heard that pit so loud. I think when Patrick Ewing played for Georgetown. You know, Georgetown was #1 coming into the game here. And that pit, I'm not kidding, man. This is before the suites. Okay, the mezzanine was there. But so I think, you know, as a player, I was able to experience running down that ramp. And just tell me about that. When it says a mile high and louder than when you're going down that ramp for a big game against San Diego State, what was the feeling? I bet you just can't describe it.
You get those chills in your body when you see that, because not only are you representing your family, you represent the whole state of New Mexico, because New Mexico and Albuquerque is all about basketball. Like we're winning and we got that target on our back, that mile high, it's in your heart when you're coming down that ramp. And when you're coming down there at the same time as the other team, they're just like, what? And we were making noise, we were being loud, and they're just like, under their hearts just like boom, 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 we're just beating. And the feeling to just have that on your chest and knowing that you got 17,000 fans waiting as soon as you touch that floor, waiting and screaming your name, is unbelievable.
Absolutely. One game that comes to mind, there's a ton of, I mean, you could point out something outstanding about every home game, but I'll jar your memory a little bit. The game against UNLV that was on national TV, the actual CBS. I remember that game because it wasn't when you guys came down the ramp that everyone started yelling. They were yelling before you guys even came out of the locker room.
Yeah. Just man, the hype for that, because if I can remember correctly, they were ranked, we were ranked.
I think both were in the top 10.
Yeah, we were.
I think they were 6, and I think maybe the Lobos were 12. It was something like that. I think no less than 12.
But that all comes down on Coach Alfred and Coach Neal, man. They hyped it up for us. When you see your coaches energized to play a game like that, it's just flows in your blood. Like, I got to go to battle for this guy because he's out there giving it all. I can remember a situation. I think we were playing Fresno State, and I hit a big 3, and the team, the timeout was going, and you know how you pass by each other. A guy bumped me, guy like 7 foot, but I'm not gonna back down from him, he bumped me, and I bumped him back, and I pushed him, And the fire in Coach Offer and Coach Neal was amazing, the way they had my back. They just went in and started screaming at their coach, and
I think I remember that.
And I was like, oh yeah, this is the guy I want to keep playing for the rest of my career here. And I was like, he got my back, and I got his back.
Former Lobo Jamal Fenton, our guest here, and got to ask you this. I've asked everyone who played on your teams, teammates of yours that we've had here on the show and off the show, what was your favorite moment? I'm sure that there were a bunch of them, but does one moment stand out for you?
A moment for me, just probably when we won the championship. There's so many memories with those guys, man. And probably biggest moment probably for me, it wouldn't be on the court, it'd be off the court, because I was roommates with Tony Snell, and I finally got him. He was the only person, he would talk to me, he was like the only person I would talk to on the team. He'll talk to other guys, but he really opened up to me because I was his roommate, and the one day he just opened up and we talked for maybe 4 or 5 hours, even though we had class in the morning. We just talked and talked and talked, and that's probably the highlight of my career. I
gotta ask you, what about because I was going to ask you earlier, now you prompted it. What about the metamorphosis with him? Because he was probably the most unselfish player to the fact for Coach Alford, Coach Neal. They were telling him to be selfish, literally in practice. Hey, you got to shoot more. About midway through his last year, your senior year, the light switch went on. What happened?
I know exactly what happened. We were in the huddle one game, and Tony was messing up, and Coach Alford and Coach Neal were screaming at him, and they just said this one word. They called him soft. He said, "You're soft." And I've never seen Tony. I've seen Tony get mad, but not how mad, because like I said, he doesn't talk to anybody. He came to me, he's like, "They just called me soft, and I don't like it." Well, he didn't say that. He said it with some other words.
Right.
And after that game, we went back to our dorm rooms and we talked. And he's like, he'll never call me soft again. And then it just clicked on him. And he just turned.
Boy, did it click.
He just turned into an animal.
Yeah.
He turned into an animal out there. He didn't miss. This guy, Tony Snell, would not miss at practice. I used to get so mad because late shot clock, a bad shot goes up, and somehow Tony gets and he hits another shot, and they get the ball back again in our practice. And I'm like, this guy just won't miss, and he used to irk me, but he's my guy. That's what turned the switch on for him.
And he had one of the best head and shoulder fakes, and then he exposed a lot of people going to the basket for dunks and everything. I mean, he just became like a dynamic player after that. But we saw it in practice. It was always there. Yeah. It just all of a sudden became in games.
Yeah, it was that because. Late nights, me and Tony would go play one-on-one at the Recreational Center Johnson, and I'd win a couple games, he'll win a couple games, but we worked on our moves, and he's a hard dude to guard. He always used to say I was hard to guard because I was so short and fast, but his transition, he used to like and one, like play on street ball a lot, but when he brought his street ball into a system, like Coach Alford's system, and he can shoot lights out, man, and that's a bad combination for defenders.
Right.
You know what? I think that you say that because he didn't talk. You're right. My son used to go to UNM as well, and he said that he'd always see Tony by himself and not really, he's just a shy guy, I think. But if you look at it, where he came from, $44 million guaranteed, man. That is unbelievable with the Bucks just signing a contract, 2 weeks ago. And I think we always saw that potential here. And sometimes coaches, I did that with players. I remember telling a player that when I was coaching C team at Highland. And I saw this kid, and I told him the same thing, except I didn't say soft, I used something else, and guy went out there and got me 8 rebounds. And we still laugh about that, we still stay in touch. Sometimes as a coach, you see something in someone, they're not giving it to you, and you got to use other methods to get it out. And Coach Alford being the master of that, man, I can imagine the guy's face would go nuclear anyway, man.
Yeah, him and Coach Neal would break a clipboard in a minute. I think one game they probably broke about 3 or 4 clipboards.
Oh yeah.
He's broke a couple on me for not even just being late on a rotation.
Right.
And he broke it right in front of my face. And my mom was in the stand. She still remembers. She's like, I can't. She was so mad at Coach Alford for breaking it. I was like, Mom, it's okay. That's what he's supposed to do. He's a coach. He's just getting the best out of him. She's like, no, you're my son, and I don't want him breaking a board. And I was like, Mom, it's okay. And we ended up coming back, and I know I hit a couple big shots that game because he was just screamed at me. And I made a shot, and I just kind of ran down court, and I just looked at him, stared him in the eye, and he likes that stuff. It got him more amped up that he saw the fire in me, that I was mad at him, and he saw that that the fire came out, and I put it on him, but he made me play harder in the game.
I don't know if you noticed, because you would always be hustling back on defense, but those particular moments where he'd jump on you and all of a sudden you make a big shot, I don't know if you noticed on the sideline that he put out a big fist pump. I mean, he always acknowledged it. I don't know if you saw it. We saw it because, you know, he got out of you what he wanted. Yeah,
he's going to get it out of you somehow. Whether he, like I said, whether he calls you soft, he used to call. He had names for all of us. All of us had a name or a bad name in the huddle, and it'll come out of you eventually because you get so angry that your defender's in trouble because you're going at him at a different speed now because you have more anger into that move than what you had before at the beginning of the game before you got yelled at.
We'll take a quick break, come back with one more segment with Jamal Fenton here on the Sports Desk.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Hey Lobo fans, I'm Sarah. And I'm Samantha. Jaguar Land Rover Albuquerque has been a family-owned business since 1988. The 2017 Jaguar F-Pace has been named the winner of the 2017 World Car of the Year and World Car Design of the Year. Land Rover's signature terrain response system is flawless against any curveball New Mexico weather can throw at you. We have a class-leading extended warranty on all Jags and Land Rovers and one of the greatest pre-owned inventories in the state of New Mexico. Call 505-797-3600 to schedule a test drive.
Visit the Frontier Restaurant. Due to heavy construction on Central, take lead or coal coming north or south. The Frontier Restaurant. Get your Frontier fix on.
Sure, you could get him a new car. You could also light a pile of money on fire. So maintaining this old car is your best option. Keep it running longer, stronger, with quality parts and a whole lot of Napa know-how.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, hashtag life change will occur.
Altitude Sports Grill is where Albuquerque's sports fans won't miss a game. With locally crafted brews on tap and refreshingly crisp cocktails. Located in Hotel Cascada, Albuquerque residents find a staycation worth staying for. Catching Lobo sports, enjoying a beer on the beach, or wiping out, Hotel Cascada is home to your urban adventure. Affordable guest rooms, no-hassle water park parties, and much more.
I am never getting married. Never. Guaranteed.
You picked a beautiful ring.
Thank you. We're never having kids.
I love it here.
We are never moving to the suburbs. We are never getting one of those. We're never having another kid.
I'm pregnant.
I'm never letting go.
For all the nevers in life, talk to State Farm agent Michelle Rudolph or Marty Size in Albuquerque.
And we are back here on the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Galletti along with Ed Nunez. Alden Iowani, our fine director, and our special guest here today, Jamal Fenton, former University of New Mexico Lobo guard. And one of the winningest Lobos, I guess, because, you know, there's a stat out there about winningest Lobos. You were part of that because you went to the NCAA 3 out of 4.
Yes, sir. Me and Chad still hold it, but I kind of use it. I use it more than Chad to help my training business.
One more bit of nostalgia I wanted to ask you about, because you were part of a couple of big wins for the Lobos on the road at BYU.
Oh man, BYU is a town in its own, man. That facility is like crazy, especially when they had Mr. Jimmy for that.
Yeah. Well, one big win was to clinch the title in the regular season. The other one was the year that Jimmer got the last laugh in the Mountain West tournament after DeReese got injured. But those were two big wins on the road.
Yeah, that was great, man. Jimmy Fredette was a hell of a player, and to play against him and in that facility was, I mean, amazing.
Talk a little bit about your shirt, Fenton Fundamentals.
Like you said, I moved back here. This is what I thought about before I moved back. A lot of former Lobo players come back, and you only see them in the summer, like Danny Granger, Cameron Barstow, all the guys that went to the NBA. You see them for a summer for 3-4 days, and then they're gone till next summer. So I felt the need that I was a big piece of the puzzle here in New Mexico for wins and for winning and just being a good player on and off the court. I wanted kids to be hands-on with me, just like I tell you all the time. I mean, I didn't grow up to be 7 foot like Kevin Durant or 6'9" like Tony Snell, but I mastered my fundamentals being as short as I am.
Rumor has it you're smaller than the campers.
Yeah, I just got, like I tell you, I got a text message from an old coach of mine named Coach Alford. It says I'm looking just like the campers now.
Well, I think you mastered that too. You were changing pace guard off the bench, and you knew what your role was, along with Demetrius Walker. You mentioned his name, and that guy was explosive. He was explosive scorer, quick, slasher. And I think one of the things you're saying to us, too, is with Coach Alford and Coach Neal, they hit all the right keys, man. As far as motivating, I've been there, Jamal. I've been motivated by, coaches where I want to make them, mad, or, they made me mad. And, I know what they want out of me. And then when they would do something right, I'd say, that's what I'm talking about, baby. That's what I mean. Yeah. And so you're being in the midst of all that, and when they're, they had your back 150.
Yeah, 150.
So why would you not want to run through the wall for them guys, man?
That is true.
And I got to ask you this, moving back here, are you back here permanently?
I'm back in
What's your
permanent.
plans? What are your plans, I should say?
My plans are, like I said, I started my own training business. I probably got about 25 or 30 clients already.
Nice.
And I only been back here a month. So Lobo Land has not forgot about me. If they want to work out with me, like I said, I work on their fundamentals. I pick out their weaknesses. I'm pretty good at training them, pushing them. I learned so much from Coach Alford, so I'm pushing them and I see it in them, and I'm getting the best out of them in each workout. And it's just, like I said, a lot of Lobo players leave, but I want them to come work out with a former Lobo who's played in front of 17,000, 18,000. I've played against NBA players. I've worked out with NBA players. Couple of my best friends are NBA players, and so I've learned a lot since I've been playing this game of basketball. And I want to give back to Albuquerque because a lot of the University of New Mexico doesn't really recruit kids here in Albuquerque to go to UNM and play for the basketball team, and they lack a lot of fundamentals, which I think me and Chris Perez are trying to take over Albuquerque with the training and getting these kids better, so they actually can see what it takes if you're not 7 foot to get a Division I scholarship, because it's not easy. I think there was a stat when I was in college that there was only 4 of the players that were 5'9", and I don't even know how many Division I schools here in the United States, and they have to actually hands-on every day, see what it takes, and that's the kind of workouts I put them through. I mean, the workouts are not easy. They're not no cakewalk. I kind of steal stuff from Coach Alford and Coach Neal, especially Coach Neal, because his workouts, our individuals here were just I want the time to be over, and we still got 25 minutes still on the clock, and I'm dead tired, and that's being in shape with the altitude, and it just converts, and I want to show the kids and the youth that it's not easy. It's not like you can go to McDonald's and drive through and they just give it to you. Maybe one of your friends hook you up with an extra burger or something, but it takes hard work and dedication to become a good player. And that's why my motto on the back of my shirt, it says, "No sacrifices, no rewards." And that's a tattoo I have on my body. I've had it on me since high school.
Nice.
Because I knew I wasn't going to be tall, but if there's no sacrifices in anything, I mean, it didn't even have to be basketball. It could be work or family related. there's no sacrifice. You're never going to get any awards if you don't sacrifice anything.
This guy's work ethic was off the charts when he had a big play. I think he remembers I used to yell, "Say hello to my little friend," and all that good stuff, and that was his moniker for me. And I'll never forget you coming off the bench and just wreaking chaos. Whoever you regarded or guarding hated it.
Oh, yeah.
You could see you frustrated the heck out of many, many players. How much pride did you take in that?
I took so much pride in it. Like you said, it was a transition.
I mean, you could see it in their face. Like, God, get this guy off me.
Yeah, when you're small like me, when Coach Alford used to preach, he's like, hey, he calls me Little Usher. I don't know why, but he calls me Little Usher. Hey, Little Usher, hey, you got to be that gnat at the barbecue, always bothering the cook. You know how they're always like this. He's like, you got to be that guy. You got to change your shot. When I had to go guard guys like Jimmer, or I got switched on to a bigger guard or a big guy, I just took pride in, like, I know I'm not going to block their shot, but if I can alter it a little bit and throw the mechanics off, it's a lower percentage shot for them, and which I took pride in.
I think Steve Alford, has a great defensive mind, and he's definitely a good defensive coach. I think you coming back here and showing these kids that the fundamentals, the hard work, and these days I got to tell you this, and it's true. Back in the day, I used to be a gym rat. We'd break into Highland to play basketball on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
These days kids have different interests, and sometimes it's hard to get them to understand. And I used to say this to the kids I coached, and a lot of them didn't have the talent you did, or Tony, or Hugh Greenwood. They didn't. They had talent. My thing was, okay, let's play. We're going to play hard. What are your plans after, though? Because, you got to have plan B.
Yeah.
Just in case you don't go to the league. Jamal, let's be honest. To play professional basketball, a small percentage of people get there. And there's so many kids that have that dream. And you don't want to mess their dream up. Everyone's got dreams.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to be realistic, too. And I think one of the things you'll show these kids, and I like your approach already. Plus, I think you care about people. There's a lot of people that train in this town. Believe me, I know. I know a lot of the former players here that are in it for the buck. I get that. But you know what? I think there's a vested interest in kids and in people from you. I can tell. Believe me, there's a big difference. So I wish you all the luck with that, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I want to thank you for joining us, Jamal. As always, you got an open door here. So
thank you.
Keep up the great work. Glad to see you moving here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Jamal Fenton, former University of New Mexico Lobo guard, our guest, and we'll come back with one last segment here on the Sports Desk.
Gecko's Bar and Tapas, a proud supporter of Proview Networks. It's been a fan favorite spot for food lovers and sports fans. With not one, but two great locations, including outdoor patio, an atmosphere you won't want to miss. Gecko's off Academy and in Nob Hill. Terry Cosper Insurance Agency is a proud partner with Proview Networks and a proud supporter of New Mexico high school athletics. Terry's been a local farmer's agent for over 20 years for auto, home, life, and business insurance. Just like high school sports are important, so are teen drivers. For more information, call Terry or one of his licensed staff members at 898-5556. Quotes are available for you.
For 55 years, people have bought trucks from Tillery in Los Lunas. We have a great selection of vehicles, the quality service department, and some of the best deals in the state. But most importantly, we found people prefer to buy trucks from people who actually drive trucks.
Tillery is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Locally owned and operated, located in Los Lunas, right off I-25, exit 203. Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili, breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
And welcome back here to the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Galletti along with Ed Nunez, Alden Iowani, our fine director. Our thanks to Jamal Fenton for joining us here. We pulled him out of camp, if you will, to come over here, Ed, and I'll tell you what a great human being.
You know what, I got to tell you this, you know, of course, living in town my whole life, I know a lot of ex-Lobos, a whole bunch. Hunter Green comes to mind, who's just a great guy, George Scott, you know, Kelvin Scarborough. There's a lot of them that I know, and Rob Robbins. And this guy here, we had Doris Gary on as well about a month and a half ago, and him. And you know what, yeah, they're stars, they're talented, but they're humble people. They're very humble people. You know, I had a chance to see Doris and his wife up where I work at. They come work out almost every day there. But when I talked to Jamal, and I said that, I said, Mom and Dad must be 2 nice people just because he's so humble. Good player, but you know the training that he's going to do, I love the way he was talking about the fundamentals and things like that. He wants to really sincerely help people. And as I told you during the break, I've seen people train in this town. A lot of people did it, and they charged a lot of money, man. And you know, okay, but I didn't see the vested interest in young people to get them, you know, it was all more about getting the money. Right. And for him, he has an interest in people. And he's a what a respectable young man. I really liked him a lot,
yeah,
right away.
He always has had that, you know, hunger to mentor people, and it's gotten even more and more as he's gotten older.
Well, if we're lucky, maybe he can join us for a telecast here or two, you know, with Proview Networks. I would love to have him on because, you know, a guy like that, like Kendall, you know, the other Lobo we had on was Kendall Williams. Yeah. I'll tell you what, you know, we've had some great guests the last couple of months, and Kendall was the same way. And you know, these guys have played, they've all played professionally.
Kendall kind of platooning between LA and here. I actually chatted with him yesterday, and you know, he's in LA now, but when he comes back, we'll have him on again. But you know, that's another
great
that
guy.
Loves it here.
You know, and plus, like I said, I don't see, back in the day, some Lobos, you know, they had some pretty big egos. These guys that we've all had on are just givers of themselves, selfless people, and respectable human beings. They respect you, they respect the guys in the studio, they respect anybody that they come across. So I don't think I love talking to Jamal Fenton. It brought back a lot of memories. That was one tough change of pace guard, and yeah, so that was a good interview.
Hard to believe that we're about a month away from all the football camps starting and regular season right around the corner.
You know what, one thing that Coach Ottman did last year was that he had cut out all the previews of all the high school teams. So I'm going to remember to do that. Coach Ottman was ready. If you had him, Jim Ottman's one of the finest color commentators, one of the finest people you could ever have on a telecast. So it's already time for me to almost start thinking about cutting those articles out. That's
Talk about a guy who's humble. I mean, outstanding man.
You know what, Jim Ottman, the square jaw, the old-fashioned coach, much respect for Coach Ottman.
Well, we're within the final minute. Final thoughts.
Tell you what, that was a great guest in getting him, Scott. I really enjoyed talking to him. I really did. So that was a great job, and I really enjoyed Jamal Fenton. I really did.
We got some other good guests coming up here, so tune in each and every week. And Ed, enjoy the week. We'll talk to you next week.
Scott, always a pleasure.
He's Ed Nunez. I'm Scott Galletti. Alden Iowani, our thanks to him for getting us on the air, and join us again next week on the Sports Desk.